Hey guys, I'm Dov, and today I'm back with more Total War Warhammer 2 online action. Today we're here with a very special start to a series. Today we're going to be having a look at if Total War Warhammer is pay to win or not. So I've seen that accusation thrown around a little bit here and there, that Total War Warhammer is pay to win. So today we're going to start on a series of videos where I'm going to be using no DLC armies. So basically we're looking at just Game 1 and Game 2 factions, everything that you can get for free. This is assuming that you do have Game 1 and Game 2, because of course having both base games, you can generally get base game for very cheap now. And if you have Game 2, you should definitely at least have Game 1, being that you could have picked it up cheaper and tried it out first. It would have been smarter that way. Anyway, I'm just going to assume that you have at least Game 1 and Game 2 and no paid DLCs. So that does mean we're here with the Empire. Balthazar Gelt leading the way. We've got 4 units of Pistoliers hidden in the woods here, and a steam tank, a couple Reichsguard out in the open, along with a Witch Hunter, a line of Spearmen and Swordsmen here, supported by a Warrior Priest. He's only got, let's see here, the Hammer of Sigmar and more Reichsguard. We're up against some Greenskins, led by Skarsnik here. We've got a little Zappa, Night Goblin Shaman there. Let's see here. He's got Night Shroud, Sneakies. So it looks like basically everything except the Vortex. Yeah, so pretty heavy loadout. No Gorkle, no Itchy Nuisance, or no Itchy Nuisance, Gorkle Fix It, Night Shroud, Vindictive Glare. So yeah, everything except the Vortex there. You can see I'm doing some good skirmishing with my Pistoliers here, doing some great damage to those Durkit Squigs that had been hidden in the woods there. We've got a whole bunch of Night Goblins, Skulkers, a couple of artillery pieces, and the Arachnarok Queen, as well as Wolf Riders. So yeah, because this is a relatively mobile army, I'm going to be sort of sitting back with my infantry force and trying to play a little bit of a skirmish artillery game at first. You can see Balthazar's taking a little bit of damage here. My goal is to try and see if I can't snipe this Night Goblin Shaman if possible, maybe snipe out these artillery pieces. We'll see. Just kind of playing things nice and patient so far. You can see the steam tank right now going after the Hammer of Gork. Honestly, going after artillery with the steam tank, because it's a single model artillery piece, it's not the best at counter battery fire. Eventually I'm going to switch over onto the Arachnarok Queen. You can see just there I'm switching over. But yeah, the little Zapper going to miscast. Does quite a bit of damage to himself with that spell there. He uses the Madcap to immediately try and cast another one, but that does do a bit of damage to himself, and this final transmutation thus will finish him off here. That does, however, leave Balthazar a little bit vulnerable to take a bunch of damage here from some Night Goblin Archers, along with his own miscast and everything. Yeah, not the best for Balthazar. He is going to get routed off momentarily. He'll be back, though. That being said, we did finish off the little Night Goblin Shaman here. He got, turned into solid gold, and did a bit of damage to Skarsnik as well. Unfortunately, I wanted to see if I could get that on the artillery pieces, just because those direct damage spells, the ones that are meant against the low model count units at least, like Spirit Leech or Final Transmutation, will actually do a lot of damage to artillery pieces themselves. Unfortunately, it wasn't quite in range, but you can see my opponent using these Spider Hatchlings to try and chase away the Pistoliers, while the Doom Diver and the Hammer of Gork sort of go after the Pistoliers. That being said, honestly, the Doom Divers are not doing that much against these Pistoliers. They don't have that big of a splash damage attack, and it can be hard to hit mobile fast cav like Pistoliers. So, although normally I would say counter artillery, or, counter fire with artillery or skirmishers is going to be the way to deal with mounted skirmishers, kind of mobile missile units. The Night Goblin Archers do need to probably be playing a little bit more forward, and yeah, the Hammer of Gork, the Doom Diver will do okay. The Hammer of Gork is going to struggle a little bit to do damage to these Pistoliers. You can see they are taking some damage over time, but I am using up the Spider Summons. I've also caught some Wolf Riders here. Some of the Reichsguard came forward to help protect from Greenskins light cav, because Greenskins have generally pretty decent light cavalry. Wanted to try and protect there and keep these Pistoliers online as long as possible. The new accusation, I haven't actually got a chance to show this off yet, so let's have a look here. It gives minus 30 armor, minus 26 melee defense, and 22% missile resistance. So my thinking here is we can use this accusation, stack that potentially with a Plague of Rust on this Arachnarok Queen, to then let these Pistoliers do a lot of damage to her. We'll see if it works out in practice. Right now the steam tank is just patiently using through its ammo, going after the Arachnarok Queen. And yeah, bit of a longer game, but both of us trying to be patient. You can see my opponent eventually realizing he does need to advance here. Did bring some Reichsguard up and around through the woods, and saying that he's moving some of these forces off, that his micro is probably, you know, elsewhere for the time being. I'm going to bring these Reichsguard in for a quick hit-and-run charge. The Spider is going to get engaged and kind of countercharge them a little bit here, so I'm going to immediately pull away. Obviously, the elite anti-large AP of that Spider is not something I want to be involved with. So yeah, I'm going to pull those Reichsguard away. The Durkit Squigs also can, you know, with a Wah countercharge. Excuse me, a Wah countercharge. That was a pretty terrible Wah, guys. Anyway, yeah, they can do some damage there. Balthazar did come back from route, but I'm going to have to be careful as he is pretty low on HP, and that has kept the balance power relatively even, all things considered. You can see the Reichsguard kind of countercharging those Wolf Riders a little bit, and my infantry force sort of came up and around through these woods to try and screen out from artillery, and now we're going to be making our way forward to try and form up here so we can get the steam tank on the flank. And yeah, with the Spider coming forward, we're going to see if we can't get her a little bit on her own here. You can see the Pistoliers getting into a good position once we start to drop the foul magics. A nice shot from the cannon, direct hit right on the whatever this thing's called on the back there, the Howdah, I think it's called. But there's the Plague of Rust, minus 60 armor there, down to only 90. Still very heavy armor though. And yeah, another hit there. Ooh, Balthazar actually got direct hit by Skarsnik's Prado. Wow, that was pretty impressive. That might actually rout Balthazar off at the end of the day. But yeah, unfortunately that Plague of Rust, I'm not able to take full advantage of this spell effect because those Spiderlings are a little bit in range. I'm having to pull the Pistoliers away, which is not the best. Now you can see though, with the Accusation stacked, the Ragnarok is down to only 60 armor, so again, the idea here is good. The execution on my end is not the best. These Pistoliers aren't going to get in range to be able to take full effect here, but let's see. It's still at 60 for the time being. Let's see if they can start unloading and get... Nope, it actually pops right to 120 right as they start to unload. So a little bit unfortunate mistiming by myself, but still, Steam Tank's going to come forward, meet the Ragnarok Queen, just kind of screen it out here, steam gun it in the face. The Steam Tank is honestly, you know, not really meant for a fight like this, but it can at least hold for a little bit of time. It does have pretty good HP, and it's also unbreakable. Here come the Knights charging in the front line here. Skarsnik and the Goblins going to meet them directly, and yeah, the Reichsguard, again, another very cost-effective unit. Just excellent in a situation like this, charging into light infantry. Even with the smoke bomb, they have pretty good melee defense. The Hammer of Sigmar is juicing up everyone here. Swordsman following up along with the Warrior Priest. The Warrior Priest actually sitting back, just shouting prayer buffs, but still. The Wah has been popped for the Greenskins, so they're being buffed up as well, but Balthazar dropping some searing heat on these nasty Skulkers here out on the flanks, with the Night Goblins also taking some good damage there. Again, very good against low armor targets. The Steam Tank is taking a beating, but the Ragnarok Queen, another overcast Plague of Rust, and more pistol shots has dealt with her, and the Steam Tank finds itself victorious. Again, the Steam Gun as well doesn't do the best armor-piercing damage, so if you can tear the armor away from the Ragnarok Queen, those non-AP missiles certainly will do better. Reichsguard came up and around the flank, got into the back line to rout off these archers, and at this point it's going to be a pretty convincing victory for the Empire. So, well played to my opponent. Hope you guys enjoyed watching. I know it wasn't probably the most competitive battle. I mean, Balthazar certainly almost got sniped there, which was pretty decent, but still. I just wanted to show off this battle, and I'm going to go through a few other pointers in terms of non-DLC stuff that you can take with the Empire. But as far as all the factions go, I would say Empire is probably one of the best without their DLC. You certainly can get by in a number of matchups without the DLC units. I really don't necessarily think that they're essential in any way. They certainly are helpful in a couple of matchups, and we'll kind of talk about exactly what you get with the Grim in the Grave in terms of the Empire, and if it's really, you know, critical, if it's necessary, or if it's just nice to have, or whatever. But certainly in this matchup, I think you can get away with not having any DLC units, and certainly was the case here. Again, no DLC units here. On my opponent's side, had several Regiments of Renown. Skulkers are a DLC unit, so yeah, definitely not necessarily pay to win. Just because you have these DLC units doesn't mean that you're necessarily going to win. You still need to, you know, play smart. And I mean, my opponent definitely made some mistakes. Seemed like a little bit of a newer player, but he still, you know, had a solid build overall. Definitely some smart aspects. Skarsnik is decent in this matchup. He's pretty hard to goon by somebody like Karl Franz. Anti-large AP, you know, pretty decent in that way. Night Goblin Shaman, a little bit heavy on the spell loadout. You could probably cut him down a little bit, but still decent pick. I like the mostly goblins against the Empire. That's pretty solid. Ragnarok Queen can be a bit of a gamble here, but it also can be pretty solid. The counter artillery is okay. Maybe not the best here, but, you know, my opponent's build definitely had some decent elements. I don't necessarily think he played it the best. Probably just needed to spread out a little bit more, try and maybe catch some of my units in some ambushes. With all these units with Stalk and Vanguard, if he had sort of spread out and caught me in some traps, could have potentially been pretty good. But in terms of my side, Reiksguard all racking up a ton of kills. 100 kills on the Steam Tank with an XP Chevron there. 28 kills on Balthazar himself. Witch Hunter racking up 15. So yeah, not bad at all. And as far as the Empire goes, so what exactly do you get with Grim in the Grave? Well, there's a few things. Obviously, all the regiments of renown. You get Volkmar the Grim and the Archlector. The Archlector is actually a really decent lord choice. I like him quite a bit because he's cheap and he has really good buffs, but he's certainly not like meta or super critical or necessary or anything like that. You can get by using Boris, is technically free. I think if you have in Total War Warhammer 2, you guys can correct me if I'm wrong, but I think you just get him for free. You might have to own the Beastman in Total War Warhammer 1 to get him, if I remember right. You guys will let me know, but, you know, just with the General of the Empire, Karl Franz, and Balthazar. Balthazar and Karl, honestly, both give you great options. Lore of Metal is quite good these days. You can do a lot of different things there. There's good synergy. Karl, of course, one of the best melee combatants in the game, especially when he's up on Deathclaw. You kit him out with his abilities, and he is super duper scary. Likewise, you get access to a bunch of Lores of Magic. I want to say, and again, correct me if I'm wrong, but I want to say that all of the Empire Wizards are free DLC, so you get access to all these Lores of Magic for free. You can still take Lore of Life and Karl Franz, which is a pretty common combination, and that is completely free to take. You know, you don't have to have any DLC for that. So you get, you know, with the DLC, you get Archlector, Volkmar, obviously all the regiments of renown. Flagellants, which honestly you guys don't see me use the Flagellants too much. They are decent in a couple matchups, but just generally I tend to favor the cheaper state troops, which of course are non-DLC units. The Sigmar Sons are probably the best of the regiments of renown. They're just all around super solid, great combat stats, and they're unbreakable. They're certainly not necessary. Free Company are a really nice unit, but at the same time, I tend to favor mobile skirmishers anyway, so Pistoliers at only 50 points more give you very similar value, but they're more mobile. Obviously, you don't get the 2 regiments of renown, but even regular handgunners you still have access to. Knights of the Blazing Sun are an option that you don't have. If you don't have the DLC, they're a unit that's DLC only. Their main benefit is they have the highest charge bonus of any Empire Cav, and they also have 25% magic resistance, as well as flaming attacks. So there's a little bit of a, you know, neat utility there. In certain matchups, especially, the magic resistance can be quite helpful, but again, not super necessary. Likewise, having the Zintler's Reichsguard and the Royal Altar of Griffites are, you know, it's super useful to have them, but it's not necessary. Per se. The Royal Altar of Griffites, especially at 1850, are a cheaper terror option, that elite anti-large AP, especially when you juice them up with the Warrior Priests, which, by the way, are free. Then, you know, they get extra scary, but even just regular Demigryph Knights juiced up with the Warrior Priests are still very, very scary, so, you know, you can get a similar effect that way. Obviously, with the artillery, again, the Tempelhof Luminarch is very, very good, but regular Luminarch can be very solid as well. The Hammer of Witches is also pretty solid. The Sunmaker is kind of more of a fun unit. You're really not missing out on too much there, but even just having access to the Steam Tank and the regular Great Cannon is most of the artillery that you're going to need in most situations. You can even take the Hellblaster if you want to have some fun. But yeah, I mean, you've got your Outriders still, so yeah, the Empire roster is of many of the factions, I think that they rely least on their DLC units, I would say. I mean, certainly they're nice to have, but I don't think there's any matchup where you would necessarily need, like absolutely need, the DLC units and the Regiments of Renown. You could probably get away with that with using armies without them, but those are just my thoughts. For those of you who have experience playing the Empire, let me know your thoughts in the comments down below. Personally, I don't feel that the Empire is pay to win, so if you're wondering about which DLCs to get, maybe money's a little bit tight, Grim in the Grave, at least for the Empire, I don't think is necessarily super worth it. Is it awesome and great to have? Yes. But is it necessary? Not really. And I really don't think that the Empire is a pay-to-win faction. In fact, I definitely think that you can win quite well without the DLC stuff. But again, let me know your guys' thoughts in the comments down below. Hopefully you enjoyed this video. If you do like this sort of content, be sure to like, subscribe, hit that bell notification button so every time I upload a new video, you'll be notified. Let me know in the comments below which base faction you want me to cover. So that's any base faction from Game 1 or Game 2. I am planning to do a special video about Bretonnia, since you get access to everything that they have for free. But we'll talk about them on another day. Thanks again for watching. We'll see you next time.